Well, in the NFL, they're still talking about Swift, but guess what? It's not Tay-Tay. It's DeAndre. DeAndre Swift and the Philadelphia Eagles just chopped apart the Tampa Bay Buccaneers tonight. They win it 25-11, and DeAndre Swift with another monster game. 16 for 130. Good evening, everybody. I am Mike Missinelli, and this is the Pond Lehocky Eagles post-game show live from Ocean Casino with my cohorts tonight, Derek Gunn, Seth Joyner, and Mark Farzetta. Well, fellas, listen, it was a simple formula tonight. Ground game, ground them up, make that defense tired, and the Eagles' ferocious D just kept Tampa Bay off the board, and the Eagles got their passing game going a little bit tonight, but it was the run that led to the pass.
Well, it was basically a case of superior talent winning out, and that's what we talked about in the pregame show. You look at the stats across the board, and they were pretty even, but when it came down to a confrontation, it would have to come down who would have the superior talent. We knew the Eagles' defensive line would have a better chance of stopping their running attack than vice versa, and we knew that for the most part, the Eagles' wide receiving core was much better than Tampa Bay's. And, of course, the quarterback play, there was no comparison. And sure enough, all of that came into the factor in the game tonight. They got sloppy at times because of the weather conditions, but one team made more big plays than the other when it had to.
Seth, you know, I know we're looking at Jalen Hurts getting off a little bit more. He got A.J. Brown involved tonight. So they straightened that part of it out at least. But this is like a total domination where the defense just stops Tampa Bay cold. They get them to turn it over a little bit. And then DeAndre Swift goes nuts, and they control a game again with their offensive line running the football.
And listen, I think we're beginning to see, not only with the Eagles, but I think with a lot of teams in the National Football League, a resurgence of the running game because I think it's important. You know, you can control time of possession. You can control the line of scrimmage in both the run and the passing game when you're running the ball more effectively. And I just feel like, you know, listen, the Eagles ran the ball 40 times again tonight. Jalen put it up 37. I think that that's a good formula for any quarterback, for any team, you know, unless you're down and you have to throw the ball more than you really want to. But that keeps defenses at bay. It keeps defenses off balance. And I think this is their formula moving forward. They got the best offensive line in pro football, period. And if you've got the best line, it doesn't make any sense to have them kick dropping on every darn play when you can dominate the line of scrimmage by running the ball. And then when you want to or when you need to throw the ball, you're much more apt to get what you want in the passing game.
Wait, Seth, you mean a running game across the league where the league has basically told running backs you're not a valuable commodity?
Pretty much.
In today's game.
Pretty much.
But and I agree with you 100% because I've seen that. But yet it is going back to a resurgence of the running game, but you're deeming the one position that basically, in a lot of cases, is the focal point of your offense as a liability instead of an asset.
Well, show me the teams across the National Football League in the last couple of weeks that have struggled, and then show me the teams that have been successful. Most of the teams who struggle, they struggle because they try to throw the ball too much. You look at Minnesota. Minnesota is 0-3.
Yep.
Kirk Cousins has thrown the ball for over 300 yards the last 3 games, okay? Yet they haven't won a game because they have no running game. They can't control the line of scrimmage, and they can't control the clock. You know, but you look at a team like Minnesota, look at a team like Miami, okay? 70 points.
Yep.
2 running backs with 4 combined touchdowns each. That's 8 touchdowns in 1 game.
Yep.
And you're going to tell me that the run game is not important? The NFL has sold that the quarterback position is the most important position on the field. And I get that. But not every quarterback has the ability to be that guy.
Yep.
In your offense. Most quarterbacks in the National Football League, I would say 75 to 80% of them need a running game. And they need a running back who can dominate in the game, especially if you got an offensive line that can get it done.
Yeah, Mark Farzetta, here's the thing about DeAndre Swift. We could see it clearly that the Eagles' offensive line was blowing up holes, but he looks really quick and fresh right now. And maybe because he's got this something to prove. He didn't play in game 1, and maybe that makes him fresher. but he looks really quick.
Absolutely. And we looked at that first game of the season. He only had one carry, Mike. Well, coming into this week, and we made the point in the pregame show, he was third in the NFL in rushing coming into this week after only getting one carry. And the Eagles, they found their sweet spot again, and this has been their sweet spot for quite some time. When in doubt, downshift and go to the run game. Now, the offense, as far as the passing game went in this particular matchup, it did show me a little bit more than what it had shown me in the first 2 weeks. But when you look at DeAndre Swift in this one, you saw hesitation at the line of scrimmage when you needed hesitation, when you needed your blockers to go out there and make sure that they were clearing a path for you. He showed that hesitation. And when that hole was wide open, like that run up the middle, where he had that awesome hurdle play, it was right there for the taking, so he chose to explode to the line of scrimmage. I thought he showed it all tonight, and this is something that the Eagles, I think, beyond a shadow of a doubt, it's not just a hot hand, it's who's the best running back that they have, and the best running back that they have is DeAndre Swift.
All right, let's get this out of the way quickly. All right, go ahead,
Hold
Seth.
on before you go.
Yeah.
I believe that DeAndre Swift is the perfect running back for this offense, okay? Because I don't think you can underscore how important it is that when offensive linemen engage their blockers, that the running back is hitting the hole. But he also has the patience to say, okay, I got to wait for some of these blocks to get set up and be patient enough to wait for the blocks to materialize and then pick a hole. So there's times where, he just hits the hole, and then there's times where he's patient enough to wait. Oh, there's the hole. Boom, now hit it. The thing about him is he's decisive, and he understands the blocking schemes and how they are supposed to play out, and he uses his patience to his advantage at times, but he also uses his explosiveness and his quickness to hit the hole when it's there right now. And the offensive linemen love that kind of stuff.
Yeah, I mean, he's playing like he's got something to prove. And, they kind of bailed out on him in Detroit, and he comes here and he doesn't play game one, and now he's running with a ferocity and a purpose. So let's get the bad stuff out of the way here.
There is no bad stuff. They won the game.
They won the game, Mike.
Did they play to the standard? No.
They were 1 for 4 in the red zone. They didn't cash in. They didn't need to against this team. They dominated in other areas. And let's look at the first drive, because I want to talk about this. They establish the running game with Swift early in this game, and then they get a 4th and 1. And the play that was called was being lit up on Twitter. If you looked at Twitter tonight, 4th and 1, and they decide to go up the middle with Kenneth Gainwell. They don't put the 3 points on the board. They go for the first down. I guess that's the analytical thing to do. But they did not convert. It was a very strange play, D-Gun. Can you explain it?
No, I wish I could, but, Mike, it goes back to the analytics, and that's why I've said time and time again, coaches nowadays rely too much on robotic thought more so than a feel for the game. You and I grew up in an era where the head coaches always had a certain feel for the game. These guys spend a lot of time on these computers looking at percentages. Now, sometimes it worked, but sometimes it doesn't. And the logical choice would have been take the sure 3 points. Plain and simple.
Yeah, but if you don't take the 3, they chose to go for it, and I can't criticize them because they've made that play so many times. The play call I thought was weird. To run Gainwell up the middle right on that play. Seth, I mean,
listen, I think they're slowly but surely figuring out that DeAndre Swift is running back number 1. Because I think if you give that same play to DeAndre Swift, he converts that first down. I think that Kenneth Gainwell is – listen, he played lights out last year in the playoffs, and I think that gave them the assurance that we can move on from Miles and pass the torch to our other guy that we drafted, okay? Because we don't want to pay $6.57 million, for a running back, okay? Then they turn around and they make the trade for DeAndre, and I think they don't play him. They give him 1 carry in the first game. They piss him off. He comes back week 1, week 2, and week 3, and he's like, I'll show you guys that I'm the best running back that you have on this team. Now, I didn't like the play call either. I was okay, believe it or not, I was okay with them going for it.
Yeah, you were.
Because their track record has proven that they've made it more times than not. But give me a better play than Kenneth Gainwell right up the gut,
that's the thing. Derek and I would have kicked a field goal. I don't know, Farsi. I would have put points on the board because I don't want to squander that drive, that first drive, to put points on the board. I'd rather get points on the board than not.
But to Seth's point, and I agree, and that's why I did like the idea of them going for it. That's what they've done. And they've made it in other instances before. The play call and the personnel are two things that had me concerned about this game, because when we talk about Nick Sirianni game planning for this, and we talk about a guy like Brian Johnson trying to figure it out, they've come up small in the first 2 weeks of the season. On that particular play, you use the word weird, I'll use the word trash. That was a trash play call.
All right.
Don't mind the decision, hate the play call.
All right, that's pretty strong. And here's the thing. They don't score there, but our favorite guy, Britton Covey, gives him a lift on the next with the big punt return that we've been waiting for a long time, and that gets them on the board. Not a touchdown, but a 33-yard field goal. You know, this game in the second quarter was tied 3-3, believe it or not. When you look at the final score, you go, the Eagles dominated, but it was a 3-3 game until Jalen Hurts drops back. He had like 6 seconds to throw on that play, and he hits Zacchaeus for the 34-yard touchdown, which is the thing that broke this thing open, I think.
I thought Jalen did as well of a job as I've ever seen him, staying in the pocket, staying patient, and waiting for somebody to free up. And when you look at the play again, you know, the coverage initially wasn't that bad on Zacchaeus. The DB got greedy and thought he was going to get a pit and try to undercut the throw, and the ball sails over the top of his head. But Jalen stood in there as long as you could possibly stand in there, and he could feel the pressure closing in because he took a shot just as he delivered the ball. A perfect strike to Zacchaeus to open things up. You know, we've talked about, is Jalen seeing the field properly? Tonight, I thought he saw the field better than the first two games, no question about it.
I just didn't like the 2 interceptions. To me, they were uncalled for. But other than that, I mean, you can't be upset. I mean, a couple of times he just sat in the pocket. And I'm like, I'm to the point now where every time he drops back, you guys hear me, let it go, Jalen, let it go. I'm like, get that ball out of your hands.
Right.
But those 2 plays, those 2 pass plays where he stood in, that's kind of what good quarterbacks do.
Yeah.
I mean, you know you're going to get hit. So if you're going to get hit, guess what? You might as well stand in there and complete the ball.
Yeah, and of course the defensive play that was shortly after that. The rain's coming down at Tampa Bay, and Blankenship makes a really nice read to pick off Baker Mayfield, and that leads to another field. So they're up 13-3 at that point.
I like the coverage. I like the coverage because, you know, they've been eating us up in the middle of the field, and Reed made it look like you had cover 2, and he never moved off his spot. And what Baker did is Baker just kind of he assumed that it was cover 2. And they robbed it late because you can see the safety rotate. He came down, the other safety rolled back to single high, and I've been waiting to see this robber coverage ever since the season started. Ever since they've been eating them up in the middle of the field, that's how you defeat
All right,
that.
explain what the robber coverage is.
So you got two high safeties, and most of the time those guys on the snap of the ball, they're going to pedal. They both got half of the field, okay? This one's got this half, the other safety's got that half. But in the robber coverage, you kind of fake like you're going to go back, okay? And then your safeties rotate. He drops in the hole for the crosser, and the other safety drops back for single high. So if the experienced quarterbacks would see that, because you could see the one safety was lined up slightly deeper than the other one. That's the giveaway. But you're playing against Baker Mayfield, who is just so skittish that, you know, he saw too high safety to begin with, and then he never really looked back at Reed again. And Reed Blankenship never moved. And he just read it the whole time. He's looking backside because Baker's looking backside. He sees the guy coming. He just creeps in and picks the ball up. I mean, it's a great play and a great call.
Yeah, now that didn't really lead to anything because Hurts gets intercepted on that series, but then Fletcher Cox gets a big sack, and then Jalen Carter with a hustle play where he he follows the play and he knocks it out of Rachaad White's hands, and that led to the field goal that put him up 13-3.
Right.
I mean, that kid made a great play on that. That's a big man, flashing down to follow that play.
And listen, the Eagles, that's two more turnovers again this week.
That's 8 in 3 games.
Yeah, and I said in the pregame, Farzi, they come in bunches, so they better enjoy them while they can. But the thing I'm encouraged about, and I want to talk about small victories tonight, because the Eagles made a small victory in that the passing game somewhat got on schedule, okay? And the lack of being able to execute in the red zone, is a problem. But let's just take this one small step at a time. because last week we complained about the fact that the Eagles, weren't passing the ball well. They passed the ball well tonight, okay, but they weren't efficient in the red zone. They'll get there because last year I believe that, they were 68% in the red zone last year. So now, at some point in time, they got to work through that. The running game's on point. The passing game is getting a little better. Now we got to get better on third downs, and we got to get better, in the red zone. And I think that'll come. By the time we get to week 5 or 6, I anticipate if the injuries don't continue to decimate us in key areas, by the time we get to week 5 or 6, we should be hitting on all.
Yeah.
those.
Now Bradbury came back tonight, played in the slot, wasn't that effective in the slot. So they're a little thin right now there. But you can see that the Eagles are better than just the average team, and Tampa Bay is an average team, and it's going to take a really good quarterback to beat that defense, right?
I agree.
No question about it, but like I said on the pregame show, I do not want to see Bradbury in the slot. He's, most of your slot type corners are smaller, quicker corners. He's long and lean. He needs to be on the outside to combat those bigger wide receivers. The Eagles had 2 DBs go down again. Evans went down, and I forgot who the other one was that went down also. There's 2 that went down tonight, and they're going to have to find some DBs from
Didn't
somewhere.
Brown get injured?
Yeah.
Sidney Brown.
Yeah, Sidney Brown got banged up.
Yeah.
So, the way they're going, they're going to have to dig up some DBs from somewhere. They're already playing with a bunch of kids, and I don't know where you're going to get any veteran help because anything's out there that's out there now. You have to ask the question, why are they out there? Nobody else wanted them.
Listen, next man up, okay? Every time a guy gets hurt, it's unfortunate.
Yeah.
But you know what it is? It's an opportunity for somebody else to show the coach what they can do and take advantage of the opportunity. And they got a lot of good young cornerbacks, Those guys are just going to have to step up. Somebody's got to be willing when you understand that you've got injuries, and then you had Sidney Brown that had to go down and play in the slot and then got injured and left the game. That opens the door for somebody else to say, Coach, hey, I could be the guy that mans that position. Somebody's got to take the bull by the throat and say, you know what, I'm going to take this job over. If you want it bad enough, put in the effort, put in the time, put in the study, do the work during the week so that you can be the guy. Simple. Because we're a better football team with our cornerbacks on the edges than we are with Bradbury playing the slot.
So the way it's going, depending on how bad these injuries are, we don't know yet, but now we're down to Eli Ricks and Keely Ringo.
After Mario Goodrich was inactive today when we were expecting him to be the starting slot corner today.
Yeah.
That's awful for this team.
It just has to come down to them playing a better team, and we'll get a good measure of them because they're not getting the outside rush that they got last year. But they're getting middle push consistently.
Well, I tell you what, I love what I saw tonight. Hopefully we'll see more of it. But in a third down situation, they had Nolan Smith on one side and Hassan Reddick on the other side. I don't know whether the hand is really affecting Hassan that bad. And Nolan, I saw he had, the shoulder sling on. So if we can get those two guys going the way that we get pushed up the middle, I mean, that defense is going to be unstoppable because you can't run on us. I mean, do you realize Tampa Bay ran the ball 17 times for 41 yards, 2.4 yards per. Last week, they only gave up 2.8 per. So right now, they're probably the number 1 run defense in the National Football League. And the way that they can rush the passer, if we can get our outside guys coming, this defense is going to be unstoppable.
Yeah,
man.
and you know what? They did hold Mike Evans down until late when he made a couple of great catches. I mean, he wasn't really a factor in the first half.
5 catches for 60 yards. I'll take that against Mike Evans all day long.
Time.
But to your point, Mike, with Jalen Carter, he's a rookie that looks like he's a man amongst boys. Like, I can't remember too many rookies that have looked this dominant this early going. And they're talking about 3 games right now. We'll see how the entire season goes, obviously. But this guy, for a rookie, just looks like he can throw people around. It's so impressive to watch.
The teams in the NFL that drafted 1 through 8 in the 2023 NFL draft will rue the day that they allowed the Philadelphia Eagles to get this kid. I'm telling you right now.
And a much improved Jordan Davis as well. Because Jordan Davis, I mean, I saw 2 men on him at a time, and he's pushing them back at the same time.
Well, both of them.
And Jalen Carter shooting gaps. He's getting across the line of scrimmage before the offensive linemen who know the snap count get in their sets.
Both of them. And if we can figure out a way how to get Milton Williams to play at a high level.
Yeah.
Okay? Or it's not beyond us to go and find another, when Fletcher is done, to go out and find that fourth guy that's just a world beater. I mean, if you look tonight, the one thing that the Eagles didn't have to do tonight that's a plus, D-Gun, is they didn't have to live in a lot of five-man fronts in order to stop the run.
That's right.
And when they do that, that makes them stronger on the back end.
Yes.
That's one of the things that plagued them last year. They had to play a lot of five-man front in order to stop the run, and they still gave up 121 yards a game.
Yep.
Yeah, in a little bit, I want to address why Todd Bowles didn't follow the template of Bill Belichick and how they've been playing Jalen Hurts in a second. But right now, if you're looking to hire right now in the IT and engineering, manufacturing, or technology fields, you got to contact one guy. That's Gary Kane and his team at Kane Partners Staffing Solutions. And here is how you can connect.
Staffing is not easy, but that's what we do every day, all day. The key to our success is storytelling, asking the right questions to find the right people. Hi, I'm Gary Kane, president of Kane Partners. We want to be your staffing partner.